What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today Apple released the brand new 2022 iPad Air 5th generation, and in this video we're going to be unboxing two of my favorite new color options, purple and blue. We're also going to be comparing this to the previous generation iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Alright, so as you can see on the boxes we have the beautiful promotional wallpapers right here, and we have the purple and the blue coordinated. The purple I decided to get in the 64GB Wi-Fi only, however the blue I decided to get the new 5G option in 256 gigabytes. So the iPad Air is positioned right below the iPad Pro in Apple's lineup, and now that it has the M1 chip just like the Pro, I think a lot of people are going to start just naturally gravitating to that given the price point. But it's not perfect, and we're going to talk about that briefly in this video and definitely in my full review coming later on. So you guys saw I had 64 and 256. Those are the only two storage options this year. So the 64GB is $599, 256 is $749, and then add an additional $150 if you want the cellular model, which this year it might actually be worth it since we have 5G. And the blue one I have here, like I mentioned, is the 5G model. All right, so let's start off with the purple one. The purple one is the one I'm most excited about, even though I've seen a lot of great things said about that new blue color. But let's go ahead and unbox this purple. You can see the purple iPad Air on the side. We have an easy pull tab right there to take off the plastic very easily. The top comes off pretty easy, not as easy as the iPhones, but here is the purple iPad Air. Let's take a look at what's inside before we see the color. Here is our pamphlet. Let's see if we have color matching. Probably not. No, so we do have two big Apple stickers, but they are not color matching. Inside, we do have our USB-C block along with our USB-C to USB-C cable for charging. So we can set all this off to the side, and let's take a look at this purple color here. So let's go ahead and undo this. And wow, that's beautiful. That is pretty. I really like this purple color. I thought it'd be a little bit of a lighter shade because of the sky blue that we got last year, but this is actually a really pretty purple. And you can see what the borders look like right there. This is a really pretty shade of purple. I did also get a smart folio case right here to put on the purple iPad. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. So here is the purple folio case. Let's close it up in there. And yeah, it looks pretty good in here. The purple really matches the sides right there, really match with this folio case. I didn't get the keyboard folio just because I already have the iPad Pro, but you can see that is what it looks like here on the purple. Looks pretty good. All right, so now let's move on to the blue iPad Air that I've heard so much about. So many people love this color. I saw it in the Apple Store and it looks gorgeous, and I think you guys are gonna love it as well. So let's go ahead and take this plastic off, take that top off. Inside, we're gonna have the same exact accessories you guys already know, the USB-C block and our USB-C cable, but we're here for this color. So let's go ahead and take this off, and oh man, yeah, that is a really awesome looking blue. That looks even better than I saw in the stores. I love this shade of blue. And just for comparison, here is the Sierra Blue iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Sky Blue iPad Air 4th generation. So take a look at the Sky Blue versus the new blue here for the 5th generation. Much deeper of a blue, much more of a like blue color. This look more like gray, kind of like an off gray with a blue hint, but now it looks a lot more blue, more like turquoise here on the 5th generation. I love this color. You can't really pinpoint exactly what shade of blue it is, but it is gorgeous. Now, as far as the design goes, I already spotted a minor difference on the back. So this is the 4th generation iPad Air, and down here at the bottom, it just says iPad, but now for the 5th generation, it says iPad Air. So Apple added the Air text right there. So that's the only thing I've noticed that has changed so far on the body. And now that I've looked all the way around the body, that is the only change I see in terms of design. Now, the old iPad Air is just a few pounds lighter, but it's very hard to tell even when holding them side by side. I only knew that from looking up the specs online. Now, the one thing we do get with the new iPad Air 5th generation is the new ultra-wide front-facing camera. So it's the same 12 megapixel camera, but now it's ultra-wide and it has support for center stage, one of my favorite features on the iPad Pro. So now that has come to the iPad Air, and we're going to test that out in this video as well. We're just going to run through the setup process very quickly here on the purple iPad Air. Set up manually. Let's continue on this. We're going to set up Touch ID. So we do have it on the top button now. The power button is where we have our Touch ID. So I would flip it over into portrait mode to do this. It makes it a lot easier. So let's cover the button completely here for Face ID. I would also recommend setting up multiple fingers as well, since you will have this in different orientations. We have to do it one more time. Let's cover up the entire button. So there we go, added our fingerprint, and it says to add another fingerprint. Okay, so it tells you to do this. So I'm gonna do my left index finger now, since I will have it in landscape mode sometimes. We're not going to transfer our apps and data. We're going to set this up later in settings. Let's not use. We get a prompt about software updates. Let's continue. We're just gonna speed through all of this. You don't really need to do this all right now. You could do this later in settings. Let's just not share, appearance light, and there we go. We are on our iPad Air 5th generation. So as I mentioned earlier, we do get 5G, which is nice, but just like with the iPhone SE, it's only sub 6. It's not millimeter wave, but still it is a nice improvement over LTE. And this is the first time I've even considered cellular on an iPad. So I am looking forward to testing that out. I did get it on this blue one right here, and you can see we do have the bands up top. We have them at the bottom as well. You won't see these bands on the Wi-Fi only model. Also inside is that super powerful M1 chip. It's the same one found in the latest iPad Pro, and this is going to be a big difference over the previous iPad Air, which had the A14 Bionic, but we're still going to have that 60 Hz screen here on the iPad Air 5th generation. So we're not going to have a ProMotion 120 Hz display, so it's still going to seem slower than the iPad Pro because of that. And that's going to be the biggest difference between this and the iPad Pro. So the M1 chip is definitely going to help with camera quality and battery life and all those other things as well. Apple doesn't claim better battery life on the Air 4, but I'm thinking that it's going to have better battery life, even if it's just slightly. But most importantly, because of that M1 chip, we're able to have center stage. So that is the big reason some people are going to upgrade from an iPad Air 4 to the Air 5 is because of center stage and FaceTime or wherever you have video conferences. This works in Zoom and other places as well. So let's go ahead into FaceTime. I want to try this out. And we even get this new splash screen right here as well that says center stage. Center stage automatically adjusts the front-facing camera to keep everyone in the frame during video calls. And you could change this in the control center as well. So yeah, there's a control center toggle there for center stage to turn that on and off. And you don't even need to sign in to test this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys watch this follow me around the frame. So I'm way over here. You can see it's following me. I'm going to stand up. It follows my face. Look at that. It follows me all around. So I wonder if I put it down here, if you guys could see better, if it's still going to follow me. Yeah, it follows me way back here. Look how crazy that is. Doesn't matter which way you're going, it follows you, just like on the iPad Pro. Now, just out of pure curiosity, I do want to test out the speed of the iPad Pro and the iPad Air. So we have the M1 chip in both, but like I mentioned, I'm willing to bet that the iPad Pro is faster. If not, it's going to at least feel faster because we have that smoother refresh rate at 120 Hz versus 60 Hz on the iPad Air. So let's start off by opening up podcasts. So podcasts definitely first on the iPad Pro, not even close. Let's try out Safari. So I did go ahead and close all apps before testing this out. So looked about the same there. Let's open up the camera. I have it set to open up to the front facing camera, and that looked about even. It was very, very close. Let's see if we actually switch to video. Let's see which one is faster doing that. Yeah, about even, about the same. Let's try news. News, I don't know, it looked about the same on both. Maybe the iPad Air was even faster than the iPad Pro there. But again, going in and out of applications, just the animations feel so much smoother on the iPad Pro. I always talk about that. It's something you just have to experience. If you've not experienced 120 Hz ProMotion, it's a noticeable difference when you're actually using the device. So even if it doesn't launch quicker, it feels quicker when you go in and out of it because of that animation speed. Let's try the App Store. App Store is first on the iPad Pro, but just barely. So yeah, overall, looks like it's going to be very similar in actual speed, like if you just look at it through a screen. But if you're actually holding the devices, you're going to be able to notice the 120 Hz ProMotion just feels faster. Like when I'm looking at my monitor here, it doesn't look like it's faster, but in person, it feels faster on the M1 iPad Pro. So that is going to be the one thing that's going to differentiate the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. You're going to have to use both to see if it's a big enough deal to you if you want to upgrade or pay more for the iPad Pro over the iPad Air. But I will say right now, The iPad Air is a very compelling value. If you're okay with 64 gigabytes on an iPad, then the iPad Air is going to be the best one to buy in my opinion if you want to take advantage of all of the features and have the best performance and also that modern design with Touch ID on the power button. That's another thing the iPad Pro has that the iPad Air doesn't, is Face ID. I love Face ID over Touch ID, so that's also another minor difference. I'll do a more detailed comparison between these two, but overall the iPad Air is still a very compelling value, and it kind of fits the mold and it kind of fits the in-between of the iPad Pro and the base model iPad. Of course, there's always the iPad mini out there as well, but that's also a whole different demographic that would go for the mini. So there you have it. That is the iPad Air 5th generation. Like I mentioned, I will have more coverage coming on the iPad Air, especially comparing it to the iPad Pro, because I think a lot of people are questioning that. So I will have a more in-depth video on that as I start using this more and actually get some real experience with it in the office and studio and out and about as well. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure to subscribe for more iPad Air coverage and stay tuned for that comparison video. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.